Hi friends, Rusty back here. CFLW the show for this Friday, May the 23rd. Boy, we're getting deep into May and Memorial Day weekend is upon us. Hope you're doing well. We have some big changes coming for our Memorial Day weekend. We are going to get into a summer pattern, which means we are going to see storms developing each afternoon. So if you have outdoor weekend plans, including Memorial Day itself, we are going to get some rain and storms in the area, which of course is beneficial, but obviously a lot of folks planning to be outside, the beaches, the attractions. We'll break it all down for you. As we get started, CFLW The Show is sponsored by the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida, your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. When a storm rolls through, you get wind damage, hail damage, hurricane damage. They can walk you through every step of the insurance claim process. They offer free consultation and policy reviews. Go to leanonmelaw.com if you would like more information. Good to see you guys on this Friday afternoon. Again, we're going to get started here with what's happening today because I do expect there to be a few storms to develop across portions of our area on this Friday. And then in general, we will start to see better shower and storm chances as we just go deeper into the Memorial Day weekend. Now, one thing that's obviously coming along for the ride, the heat and the humidity. Temperatures here as we approach 1 o'clock have reached 90 degrees in a lot of areas. 90 in Orlando, 90 in the Winter Haven, Lakeland area right now, 90 in Tampa. It's 88 in Daytona Beach. You're not getting much of a reprieve right now along the East Coast. Visible satellite imagery showing you some cloud coverage beginning to move in. We are going to get our sea breezes to activate, and we are going to have the opportunity for those sea breeze collisions to produce some storms. Now, the East Coast sea breeze today should stay relatively pinned along the East Coast. What we'll be actually watching for here is you have a very weak boundary just to our south. You can see that on that pink line right there. And then what's going to be happening is better chances for showers and storms a little bit south of us today. All right. A little bit south of us today, but those storm chances overall should get a little bit higher again as we get into Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. But you can see that we do have a weak swing with our winds right along that boundary. And this is where I do expect storms to be a little bit more widespread for today. All right, so take a look at this. Again, you got our boundary kind of just south of Brevard County, Indian River County, south of there, Manatee, Sarasota counties. Now look, it's a very weak boundary, but it is going to aid in lifting the atmosphere as well. Let's take a look at the actual radar right now, and I'm going to break down kind of what I expect over the next couple of hours and then into the afternoon. You can clearly see that along and south of that boundary, showers are already beginning to develop across I-95. They're as far north right now as Indian River County. I mean, they're trying to sneak into the southern sides of Brevard County, and for our area, it would be extreme southern Brevard and Indian River counties with the best chance for a few showers and storms today. Generally speaking, the farther south that you go in our area, the better opportunity for storm coverage today. I'm going to switch our map over to this gray terrain. Just gives us a little bit better contrast here when we're talking about these storms. Let's get rid of the fronts here as well. But this is the area that I'll be monitoring. Now, look, travel plans. You have travel plans south along I-95 for today. You need to be prepared for it to be relatively stormy all the way from the southern sides of Brevard County into the metro Miami area. So places like Port St. Lucie in the Jupiter area, West Palm, on over towards Fort Lauderdale, Hallandale Beach, the Miami area, all the way down towards Homestead, and even the Florida Keys, they're going to have a lot more active weather for today. And these storms may not be moving very quickly because, again, with the East Coast sea breeze being pinned along the I-95 corridor, these storms could be fairly erratic moving. This is the area that we do have a slight risk or a marginal risk for severe storms. Now, it does extend as far north and west as the eastern sides of Orange County, a fair amount of Osceola County, and the southeast sides of Polk County, and it does go as far north as the Titusville, Mims area in Brevard County for today. That is the far northern extent of where we could have a few strong to severe storms. That being said, I do believe that the best chance for the activity today will be from the southern sides of Brevard County and Indian River County south all the way down into Homestead and the Keys. right? It's a marginal 1 out of 5. We're not expecting any organized severe weather. The Storm Prediction Center has already put out what they call a mesoscale discussion to the south and east of Lake Okeechobee. We can look at that. You can see that, but they're not actually calling for a lot in the way of the high opportunity for a actual severe thunderstorm watch, all right? So the mesoscale discussion for the severe weather, you can see that goes from Palm Bay, as I've mentioned, south, and then the heavy rainfall. And again, the reason why is that these storms are going to be pinned along I-95 on this Friday. So that's why there could be excessive rainfall in these areas. So that's the heavy rainfall potential down I-95, because the West Coast sea breeze is going to march across the state. The East Coast sea breeze is going to stay pinned along I-95, and heavy rain and storms should develop in those far southeastern areas. Appreciate you guys tuning in. If you're doing so, thanks for taking a quick second and hitting that like button for me right now. You have a specific question about the forecast, feel free to drop it in the comments section below. This is the overall risk for excessive rain from the Storm Prediction Center. And again, it's a little bit farther south and east, but 3-4 plus inches of rain in this area, and maybe even locally higher, it's not out of the question. Localized street flooding is a possibility, and obviously some low-lying areas as well. So that's really Fort Pierce south. It is a little bit south of our area. We are going to be on the far northern extent. Hey Garrett, how you doing? Great to see you here in North Carolina. 75, enjoy. We will not have 75 degrees. As a matter of fact, some morning lows might even be right around 75 degrees. I do have your forecast coming up as well, but I wanted to certainly delve into this Friday because into the afternoon hours, it's not going to be completely dry. We are going to get some thunderstorm activity developing here, mainly south and east of the area. And again, at this point in time right now, we do have a few storms getting going, a couple of lightning strikes, but you can see, and probably here for the next 20 minutes while I'm on this live stream, we'll see this lightning count come up a little bit as well. Put that back into motion. You can see, one lightning strike here, maybe up to 5. There's also a few thunderstorms developing on the northern sides of the Bahamas as well. That's another area that's going to get hit. So let's break down how the rest of today is going to play out, and then we'll kind of get into the forecast. I'm going to bring up the HRRR model. It's our high resolution rapid refresh, right? And you got a preview at 8 o'clock here, but let's back this up. We'll go to 2 o'clock. And then we're just going to go to tonight. We're going to get into the rest of the forecast coming up. I promise you that. Let's see here. Perfect. 40s at night. Oh, man. Jealous. Maybe a little bit cooler than I would probably want for Memorial Day, Garrett. But that's comfortable. Low humidity as well. We're on the wrong side of that boundary. Look, summer has returned just in time for the Memorial Day weekend here in Florida. I mean, a true summer pattern is developing. Our sea breeze storms are getting active. I have shower and storm chances in the forecast the next 7 days. Now, the meteorological start to summertime is actually June 1st. I know on the calendar it's generally around June 21st, but meteorologically, we turn the calendar to summer on June 1st. And in Florida, that typically happens in May. Obviously, a much more tropical environment. We typically see that. Now, again, for our area for the remainder of the day. Isolated storms, Eastern Orange, Osceola, Brevard, Indian River counties, right? They'll probably develop as far east as like the Wedgefield, like Nona area back down towards Harmony and Holopal, and then kind of work their way and then pin themselves along the East Coast. If there's really any opportunity for a stronger or isolated severe storm in our area today, it's going to be southern Brevard in Indian River counties. And you can see the reflectivity here on the HRRR model is quite extensive, right? We could certainly get some storms producing very heavy rainfall, some coin-sized hail, and very gusty winds. Now this is 6 o'clock, potentially trying to redevelop a few more storms closer to Orlando. But again, that's about the far northwest extent that I would expect it. Thunderstorms again possible in portions of Polk and Osceola counties down to Brevard and Indian River County, and then everything kind of slides to the south and to the east. However, if I expand this view and I just loop this up from the beginning, you're going to see that the coverage of storms is much more extensive south of Central Florida today. Again, travel along I-95 through at least the 10 o'clock hour is not going to be fun. Heavy rainfall slowing down. It's Friday of Memorial Day weekend. I mean, you want to talk about a bad scenario to just see some really heavy thunderstorms sitting on top of the I-95 corridor. You got it for the remainder of today. All right, so anyone who's traveling I-95 north or south in this area is going to be experiencing a lot of wet weather. Jaden, how are you doing? Jaden from Aruba, a friend of the Media Mundo channel, joining us here on Central Florida Weather Live. That's what I love as well, the cross-pollination of the channels, if you will. And I do appreciate that. Jaden coming in, finally raining. I'm so glad. Yeah, send me some photos, Jaden. Man, the ABC Islands, Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao, gorgeous islands, by the way, absolutely beautiful. They have just been so dry, and I'm just glad that Jaden jumped into the chat and said, hey, I've got some photos, I'll send it to you. I'll do that on the Media Mundo side, and that video coming up a little bit later this afternoon. Appreciate it, Jaden. Yeah, heavy traffic, that's the thing. I mean, look, you know, blinding rain, folks are gonna be going too fast, you know, hydroplaning on the roads with heavier storms. We see it all the time. It's a bad scenario. I wanted to make sure I highlighted this to begin with because of the traffic problems that I anticipate out of these storms across I-95. And again, this goes down to the Miami area. So rough travel there if that's where you guys are headed. Let's get out to a little bit broader view and kind of talk about the overall perspective here. I'm going to swing back here like this. Now, hot conditions will stay with us. Stormy weather is an opportunity. The rest of the Storm Prediction Center outlook for today has our localized severe storms and more severe storms back into the central and southern plains. All right. That system is staying out there. It's not going to directly influence us the next couple of days, so no reason to really get into that too much. This is the risk for severe storms for tomorrow. I want you to notice that at this point in time, we have no actual risk from the Storm Prediction Center. The light green is just your general thunderstorm risk. But overall coverage of storms starting tomorrow in Central Florida will begin to come up. And it will be even higher on Monday for Memorial Day itself. So the bottom line is your opportunity for daily afternoon storms continues to crank up through Monday. And again, potentially the wet season could be here, as it does look like the next 7 days hold rain chances. Of course, that's good news, as dry as it's been. For Memorial Day itself, your risk of severe storms hopefully stays a little bit farther north. Now look, that doesn't mean that we won't have an isolated severe thunderstorm threat in Central Florida on Memorial Day. It's just nothing is going to be very organized. You get one of those rogue storms that pulses up really quickly, produces 60-mile-an-hour winds, and the Weather Service will issue a quick severe thunderstorm warning on it. Our areas that have the best opportunity for a severe storm for Monday, Memorial Day, is going to be Flagler County, from the Flagler Beach up towards Palm Coast area, right near the Bunnell area, and then up towards St. Augustine, portions of Putnam County, Palatka, and then over towards Alachua County and the Gainesville area. But again, all of Central Florida with a general thunderstorm risk as well. Hey, Farrah, how you doing? Appreciate you tuning in. Thank you so much for doing so, and hope you prepared for a really nice Memorial Day weekend. Weather-wise, I would say that it is a very typical Memorial Day weekend for Central Florida, but that being said, it has been so dry lately, I don't want you guys to get caught off guard with some of the thunderstorms that I expect to see. What do you say we take a live look to our cameras? We got those in play. Fair weather clouds across the area so far. Again, no storm initiation at this point in time in Central Florida. Temperatures on the board, if you look at the bottom of your screen, they're toasty. A lot of upper 80s, but a lot of lower 90s as well. So just a few real fair weather clouds. Not a lot of wind outside either. That boundary has really kind of diffused the winds until the sea breezes kick in. So you want to talk about steamy conditions. We'll look at those feels like temperatures coming up in just a second, but it's not pleasant. You're not going to find a cloud in the sky for the most part here in Winter Garden. Looking off towards the west, crystal clear blue skies for you right now. Beautiful Friday afternoon on the western side of Orange County so far. And again, in the attractions area, and I do have the attractions forecast coming up, nice clear skies at this point in time as well. Again, for the most part, we're going to see the thunderstorms develop along the East Coast. So those are the areas that will really start to get more activated later on this Friday afternoon. All right, so let's get back over to our weather computer here, and I appreciate you guys tuning in. Again, thanks for taking a quick second, hitting that like button for me. Heat index, what does it really feel like outside at the hour? Well, feels like it's a little bit more into June and July, doesn't it? Feels like temperatures right now, look, it's not outrageous. Feels like it's 92 in Orlando. Here's an idea of what it's being reported at the international airport. Temperature of 90, dew point of 66. Hey, at least the dew points are in the 70s here, because that would be even more humid air. But again, relative humidity 46%, so it feels like temperature is 92. Now, a little bit further south of this boundary, right? South winds, Boca Raton. Take a look at this. There feels like temperature is 105 because their dew point is 77. There's more moisture-laden air south of that weak boundary here, right over Lake Okeechobee. And the feels like temperatures absolutely show you that. Another indication, dew points. Although that was really dramatic for it to absolutely show nothing. Oh, hang on. Those are wind gusts, dew points. There we go. I got really dramatic there and then the layer was off. My bad. Dew points in our area are in the 50s in some spots and 60s, high 60s at worst, like Palm Bay. The dew points down in South Florida are in the upper 70s in some areas. I mean, it's outrageous to have a nearly 80-degree dew point right now, just south of Port St. Lucie, Miami, about a 75-degree dew point. That is stiflingly hot and humid air. I mean, the muggy conditions are out of control there, but there's more juice and more moisture in the atmosphere south of that boundary. All right. And again, dew points in our area aren't outrageously high. It actually doesn't feel horrible outside, at least at this point in time, in Central Florida. That boundary is going to be kind of quasi-stationary and still feeding in some shower and storm chances for the remainder of the Memorial Day weekend. So let's get into it. So check out those 10-meter winds again. Still mainly out of the west along the west coast, and that bit of an onshore breeze there across portions of I-95. Visible satellite imagery here for those just tuning in. Again, thunderstorms are trying to develop already just south and east as the East Coast sea breeze marches in, but the West Coast sea breeze is going to move across the state and pin those storms along the East Coast, and that's where we're going to get the potential for some heavy rainfall. I don't know how organized the severe storms are going to be today. Again, the Storm Prediction Center just came out and said more than likely they're not going to issue a severe thunderstorm watch in the southern part of the state, but it's a possibility. So let's break down on the HRRR model today, tomorrow, and early on Sunday. Then we'll pick that up with the NAM and the GFS model for the remainder of Sunday and into Memorial Day. Again, the HRRR model is an extremely high resolution model, but at most it goes out just 48 hours. So running this morning, it gets us out into Sunday morning. But it's going to give you an idea that each afternoon here in Central Florida is going to be somewhat active, though it is area dependent. Generally speaking, West Coast will be a little bit drier. After today, the East Coast dries out slightly, and interior sections will probably have a slightly better chance overall for storms beginning tomorrow into Sunday and Monday. Everyone still has a chance though. So again, this afternoon in our area, it's south and east of I-4, mainly along I-95, southern areas, Polk, Osceola, Brevard, Indian River counties, eastern Orange, not out of the question. Obviously dry overnight as we're back into the summer pattern, still dry at lunchtime tomorrow. 2, 3 o'clock, first storm initiation, potentially right over interior I-4 sections. Now, is it going to absolutely develop right over Ocoee and Winter Garden and Windermere? No, but you get the idea that in the mid-afternoon hours, storms should develop here across I-4. Scattered in nature, but heavy rainfall and a lot of lightning, all right? If you're gonna be outdoors, these storms are gonna be hot. Please make sure that you stay weather aware. Just keep an eye to the sky. And again, obviously, you know, if there is a necessity for me to come on and talk about organized severe thunderstorms, I will. But generally speaking, these will probably be more isolated. They could still pulse up though and be strong to severe. And then again, working their way towards the east. Probably though, in a fair estimation, moving somewhat slow and erratic as well, right? The overall wind flow and pattern is not very significant when you go from the lower levels of the atmosphere up. So as these storms initiate, a very kind of, disorganized and erratic movement to the storms is likely, with a general sense that they're going to push south and east. But it's not going to surprise me if a couple of storms don't move much over an hour or two period, and that's where you could get some locally heavy rainfall as well. So again, for tomorrow, storm initiation right around 3 o'clock across portions of I-4, still could develop west, But I do have the West Coast drier for your Saturday, a little bit higher central and the eastern sides, and then everything pushes back off towards the south as we get into the early evening hours of your Saturday, quiet to kick off our Sunday. Let's swing over now. We'll pick up the NAM model. It's another high resolution model. It goes out a little bit farther in time. Let's see here, as long as I choose the right one. So this will take us into Sunday evening. And then from there, there we go. By the way, you guys have specific questions about the forecast, let me know. I appreciate you guys tuning in. And again, thank you so much for hitting that like button as well. If you guys have any questions about any plans you guys got going on, look, beaches, you know, we'll talk about the beach forecast. I got a lot of beach forecasts coming up. I'm going to grab my Lean Law tumbler, take a sip of some really flat Coke. Normally this would be diet green tea, but I decided to go for some extremely flat Coke we have because we don't drink a lot of soda in the house, but we had some left over from a little party we had last weekend. And it's extremely flat, but why not, right? Don't let it go to waste. All right, so let's pick it up. This is tomorrow on the NAM. And again, notice that the NAM's initiation is a little bit farther west overall. I like the HERS solution better considering where we're going to be when it comes to the sea breezes. Now, the overall sea breeze pattern may be a little bit more not as relevant beginning on Sunday because now you have all these old outflow boundaries from the storms later today and especially tomorrow across Central Florida. The outflow boundaries for tomorrow's initiation isn't going to be as significant, but the outflow boundaries for Sunday's storms are. And so I do expect these storms to develop a little bit farther west and become a little bit stronger on Sunday across the I-4 corridor. So you can see by 6 o'clock on the NAM model for your Sunday afternoon, storms are fairly widespread. From Palm Coast to Daytona Beach, Deltona, Longwood, Sanford, Oviedo, Orlando, Lake Buena Vista, and the attractions, Kissimmee, back down towards Lakeland, it could be one of those days where we get fairly wet. Now, obviously not an all-day shower and storm chance, but initiation over and west of I-4, and then working its way back off to the east. One more time for your Sunday afternoon on the NAM model. We'll pick up the rest of the forecast with our GFS model. It's still a high-res model, just not as high-res as the others. And we'll pull this out until Memorial Day weekend evening. By the way, hey Adam, how you doing, man? Appreciate you tuning in. You guys have any big plans for Memorial Day? Obviously, we're taking a second to honor all of our fallen soldiers and a very important holiday here in the United States. But we do get the benefit of a lot of us not having to work on those days. So we honor those while enjoying our family and friends at the same time. And, look, weather-wise, it's going to feel like Florida Memorial Day weekend. There's no doubt about it. So here's what the GFS model has, and I'll back it up to tomorrow or Sunday afternoon as well. Now, again, these are going to be in 3-hour increments. So 5 o'clock, not as much initiation as the NAM or the HER, but then it really does blow it up between 5 and 8. Again, that's for Sunday afternoon right across I-4. And then, of course, we're quiet again. Now for Memorial Day itself. Storm chances are there. They're scattered in nature. They're not as widespread as I think the chances are going to be, all right? I think the rain chances and storm chances overall on Memorial Day will be a little bit higher than what the GFS is currently showing. I think it's going to at least be the same coverage as our Sunday afternoon and potentially even a little bit greater in a couple of spots. The bottom line is it's a summer pattern. You just need to treat it as if it's a July or August afternoon and expect to have some thunderstorms in and around your area into the afternoon hours. So just stay weather aware, right? Just make sure that you keep an eye on things. And obviously, again, if there's a need for me to come on and cover the storms because they become more organized in nature, I'll absolutely be doing that over the entire Memorial Day weekend. Obviously, this is the severe weather risk, but the biggest thing I actually want to talk about here, let me drop that off real fast, is the other situation here, and that's the drought. Now, this drought monitor is a little incorrect because my system actually hasn't picked up on the newest one, I believe. But the bottom line is that we are still under abnormally dry to drought conditions across the entire state. And here in Central Florida, we are still dealing with an extreme drought in some spots. You know, we had some wet weather a couple of weeks ago, and then we dried right back out, and it's been gosh awful hot as well. This rain is beneficial and it's needed, and it's coming in the form of daily afternoon storms. So at least we're not talking about all day rains that are going to wash you out. Nothing that I've discussed is going to stop you from doing any of your weekend plans, but you just need to make sure that you understand that each afternoon we're going to probably get some storms. So here's how this plays out, guys, for the attractions. Lake Buena Vista area, Disney, the new Epic Universe, which good luck trying to get into that. The I-Drive corridor, very busy. A lot of folks always outside all times of the day because of what we got down there in Lake Buena Vista. We've got a 40% chance for storms tomorrow, and then a little bit higher on Sunday and Memorial Day itself. Again, scattered in nature, not all day storms, but if they move over your area, you got to seek shelter. There's going to be a lot of lightning with these storms, right? Because look at these daytime highs. By the way, yes, it doesn't feel horrible outside today, but our humidity values in Central Florida will be coming up for the weekend as well. It's going to be pretty steamy. 95 tomorrow, and then 94 degrees on Sunday and Monday, and morning lows, which again are going to be above 70 degrees. It's another sign of kind of flipping on the wet season pattern when your morning lows don't drop below 70 degrees. A kind of a true initiation of the wet season and into summer here for us in Central Florida. For the Sanford area, another interior location that should just see building rain chances. Again, don't expect anything in Sanford today. Tomorrow afternoon is still not bad. Look, it's hot. 94, feels like temperatures probably still in the upper 90s rather than the low triple digits, but we'll probably be knocking on the door of a 100-degree heat index in Sanford Sunday and Monday. And again, you're building rain chances. 30% tomorrow, 40 on Sunday, up to a 50% chance on Monday. Daytime highs, again, summertime pattern. 94 each day, morning lows eke up a couple degrees, back up to 73 for Memorial Day itself. Let's talk about some of the beaches. We'll start off with our friends in Volusia County, Daytona Beach, Ormond Beach, Ponce Inlet, Wilbur by the Sea, all those areas, I already mentioned Port Orange, all the way up, including Flagler and Palm Coast as well, all right? It's going to be a great day tomorrow. Yes, there's an isolated storm chance, but it's few and far between. This is probably the driest area outside of a few locations along the West Coast. Got just a 20% chance for rain in, mainly dry, fairly sunny to start today with some building clouds, and the temperatures aren't bad. Remember, we're going to have the East Coast sea breeze move inland each day, which is going to bring on that onshore flow. That's why it's kind of chef's kiss temperature-wise. 89 the daytime high tomorrow. Building storm chances, best chance I do expect to be Memorial Day. Still nothing outrageous, still many dry hours. 30 on Sunday, and for Memorial Day itself, it's a 40% chance. Again, daytime highs remaining in the upper 80s and morning lows in the lower 70s. Let's sneak down the East Coast to our friends in Brevard County, Melbourne, Satellite Beach, in the Atlantic, the Cape, Mico, Barefoot Bay, Eau Gallie, Pineda, Merritt Island. Here you go. I think, again, we're a little bit farther south and east. We're a little bit closer to that boundary. I think that this area in general has the best chance for rain and storms each afternoon. Still not a crazy coverage of storms. Still going to be able to get outside and do what you want to do. But again, just be aware of the pattern and the better chance for storms than what we've seen lately. It kicks in today, kicking in right now. So thunderstorms will be an issue today. And then they'll be that way Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I've got a 40% chance across the board. There's not much of a difference, but look at these temperatures. Because the east breeze will be initiating earlier in Brevard County, now you get that onshore breeze quickly, and temperatures for daytime highs will stay in the low and at worst mid-80s. If you want a little bit cooler air overall, but still some humidity, it's in Brevard County. But look at the morning lows. That's the flip side of it. There is no cooling off in the overnight hours in Brevard County for this weekend. 76 tomorrow morning, 78 Sunday and Memorial Day for morning lows. So there you go, Garrett. You were talking about that you were having daytime highs of about 75 over the weekend there in North Carolina. We've got morning lows that are higher than that here in portions of Central Florida along the immediate East Coast. 40s for night. That's a question for the chat. Would you guys rather have this forecast for Memorial Day weekend? 80s and 70s for morning lows with a 40% chance for storms, or dry weather, 75 for a daytime high and 40s at night? Let me know. That would be kind of an interesting thing. We're here in Central Florida. We're talking about, the forecast we deal with, but would you trade it? Would you trade what we've got going on this Memorial Day weekend for mid 70s for highs, mid 40s for lows, probably light jacket weather, at least into the evening hours. And then if you're getting out in the morning, probably even a medium weight jacket. Hey, Linda, how you doing? Appreciate you tuning in. Hope you're doing well. We'll swing on over to the West Coast for the St. Pete, Clearwater area. Again, a little bit drier here, especially today. I don't expect any storms. Lower coverage for Saturday, and then a little bit more improving storm chances along the immediate West Coast Sunday and Memorial Day itself. All right, so a 30% chance for storms for tomorrow, 40 Sunday, Monday. So isolated to scattered. Now, temperatures with a little bit more of a neutral or even inland wind will be a little bit hotter along the West Coast compared to the East Coast. So you can forget about saying 83, 84 degrees, St. Pete, Clearwater beaches, back down towards Bradenton, Sarasota, even up the Nature Coast towards places like Cresta River, even up towards Cedar Key. It's not going to be 80s, maybe the upper 80s at best, but it's a lot of lower 90s. 92 for Saturday, Sunday, Monday, morning lows in the mid 70s. Again, scattered to isolated storms likely in those areas for the remainder of the Memorial Day weekend. Just got to get prepared again for, relatively active weather. At least some opportunity for storms every day. Get in the pool ready for Sunday. Of course, it's going to rain. Yeah, Linda, and you know what? I appreciate that, right? So Linda tuning in just a little bit later than when we started, which is absolutely just fine. Again, you can go back and you can watch this at your leisure. I really do appreciate those who tune in for the live stream while I'm live, because I love the interaction. But remember, you guys can watch this at your own time. And you have a specific question about the forecast, even watching this in the recorded version. Again, this becomes an archived, recorded video under the live tab of the CFLW YouTube channel. You can watch it whenever your heart desires, right? Best information will probably be in the first 24 hours or so, but I cover the next several days, so you have that opportunity. Now, Linda, look, let's be clear. It's not like this is going to be an all-day rain and washout for you. It's a summer pattern. We have literally flipped on the summer switch, if you will, right for the Memorial Day weekend here in Central Florida. But yes, is it going to be completely dry, especially in Brevard County? Absolutely not. And you can already see in the far southern sides of Brevard County, but especially down I-95, Indian River County and south, the storm initiation really beginning to ramp up a little bit. Nothing outrageous as of yet. I'm going to take this loop, which is a full 6-hour loop, and just bring this down to like 2 hours so you guys can clearly see. By the way, your timeline, of course, on the top left-hand side of your screen. But there's that beginning initiation, and it is this area that has the best chance for the healthiest storms for today. But again, thunderstorm chances will be with us each and every afternoon of the Memorial Day weekend, right? Today, though, a little bit farther south and east. We'll go back over the severe weather risk one more time for those who are just tuning in. The severe weather risk for today is your area in deeper green, and it does include the far eastern sides of Orange County, portions of southeast Polk, most of Osceola, and most of Brevard. Now, again, I want to be clear. I don't expect there to be a lot of storms in this far northwest area. There could be an isolated, rogue, rowdy, severe, or strong storm. I'll be monitoring that situation. And again, as I've mentioned several times, should I need to come back on and cover an organized severe weather event, we'll absolutely do so. That being said, I think you go farther south, that's your better storm chance for winds of over 60 miles an hour and some coin-sized hail. If you are traveling down I-95 all the way into Miami Homestead and then US 1 all the way into the Keys for the weekend today, get prepared for a really rough drive. Thunderstorms are going to be very prolific there. The East Coast sea breeze is going to be pinned, which means excessive rainfall is possible. This is the excessive rainfall outlook. And again, we are in, it's a low end risk for excessive rainfall, but still right across I-95 on a huge travel day, not great at all. Several inches of rain could fall, locally 5 to 6 inches in a few spots. Just to kind of give you an idea here of the total precip. This is on the GFS model, but you could see in these colors are going to be a few inches of rain, right? Overall. Let's switch over to the HER. And this is just going to be through tonight. There you go. Again, not crazy widespread, but here's a couple of spots where, in the travel of, do you want 3+ inches of rain here somewhere around the western portions of Fort Lauderdale? No, but I think that's a possibility. And you notice the HRRR model has a little bit of rain here today, East Orange County, Southern Brevard, portions of Osceola, but it's just a lot more concentrated farther off towards the south. Now, the risk for severe storms tomorrow looks like this. And I've got good news as far as that goes so far. There's no organized risk for severe storms. By the way, if you see a tropical icon behind me, that is one of the Weather Service offices that's doing a test, and my system picks up on it. There is nothing tropically out there. Obviously, we would cover that. I can zoom in a little bit to get that off the screen. But if you see it, that's just a test. Pre-season, a lot of different Weather Service offices and organizations, they do tests just to make sure that all their equipment's running correctly, and I pick up on it from time to time. There will be a better chance for storms, southern plains into portions of the southeast. We will have probably disorganized storms for your Saturday. Still, again, can't rule out an isolated severe storm, but nothing organized. And it's about the same situation for Sunday. However, that being said, the marginal risk of the 1 out of 5 does slip now a little bit farther south and east. Palm Coast, Bunnell, Flagler Beach of Flagler County, up towards St. Augustine, Jacksonville, on over just north of the Gainesville area in the I-10 corridor. That's kind of a far southeast extension of an extremely large marginal risk, which goes all the way back into the southern plains. Basically, storms developing here and working their way south and east. But for our purposes, for the weekend, it's more the localized sea breeze storms there. And again, with the old outflow boundaries now into play beginning on Sunday, storm initiation will likely happen a little bit farther west and develop a little bit earlier in the afternoon. Friends, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you so much for doing so. If you have a specific question, last gas chance to drop it in. As we get to saying goodbye, again, please remember that CFLW, the show, is sponsored by the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida. They're your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. So when we get these storms developing, right, even if they're just severe storms, doesn't have to be a tropical storm or a hurricane. You get hail damage, you get wind damage. They can walk you through every step of the insurance claim process. If you had a burst pipe as well, they offer free consultation and policy reviews. If you would like to support someone who supports us, you go to leanonmelaw.com if you would like more information. Have a fantastic, safe Memorial Day weekend. Obviously, we remember why we have this extra holiday, and we support, our current troops, and we remember those who lost their lives serving our country, but we enjoy our family and friends at the same time as well. Obviously, if there's a situation where I need to come back on and cover the storms again in an organized fashion over the weekend, I will do so. But I implore you guys, if you're going to be outdoors for this weekend, to first of all, wear the sunscreen, find the shade when you can, make sure you hydrate, watch out for those thunderstorms, get indoors when they're heading towards your area, because again, lightning is going to be a big factor. And if you see a notification from CFLW, there's a reason why I'm on over a holiday weekend to cover some organized severe weather in your area. Friends, I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. Have a great rest of your Friday. Thank you so much for hitting that like button on the way out as well, and subscribing to the channel if you have not. No show Monday. There will be no CFLW the show for Monday because it is going to be Memorial Day. So I'll be watching the situation and come on live if necessary. And if things turn out to be just fine, I'll see you guys next Friday at 1 o'clock for CFLW, the show then, where we'll be talking a lot more about the start of hurricane season. We'll have a lot more on that as well. NOAA just came out with their forecast. So if nothing else, we'll have kind of more of a hurricane-centric show for you guys next Friday. Hope you have an opportunity to tune in. Again, have a great, safe Memorial Day weekend, friends, and I'll see you soon. Eventually. There we go.